These are the 5 things you need to have in your bag if you're doing group classes at Equity Fitness. Coach Barrick here, Equity Podcast, giving you the tools to be fit for life. And we're going to break down the 5 things that you need to have on in your bag, in your gym bag. So if you're doing CrossFit or you're doing classes at some kind of functional fitness classes, these are the 5 things that you need to have. Now, these aren't like nice to haves. These aren't should have. These are like what you need. When we're trying to be fit for life, we're trying for longevity and health and fitness and to be able to do anything that life throws at us. We work out not to be the best at working out. We work out to live our life to the fullest. We're not working out just to work out. We want to be able to do all those things in our life that we want to be able to do. So that's where I'm coming from when I'm creating this list. And this is going to be a little series where we're going to talk about, all right, we have the needs, what's the nice to haves, and then we're going to do what's overrated, what's something that everybody has in their bag that they probably don't need. So first one, 5 things that you absolutely need to have in your bag, and the first one is some sort of bottle for water. Um, if you're doing protein after a workout, a a a bottle that can shake or mix protein would be something great. You can use that for water, and you can use it for that. But some sort of bottle for water, and that doesn't mean you're drinking in the middle of a workout every 5 seconds, every time you need a break. But before, after, in that break time, getting some water in you is going to be good. When you have something that you're drinking out of throughout the entire day, it's much easier to get those fluids in versus always trying to get something different. And then you can also gauge at how much you've been drinking. So having something with you at all times that you have at work, that you have at the gym, that you have at your house can be really beneficial to make sure you're getting enough fluids to recover properly, to manage your weight, to perform better, to do all the things that you want to do. So some sort of bottle. It doesn't really matter. I actually like having 2 different ones. So I have a hydro flask, and this one I got a new lid for it that has a straw in it, so it's a little bit easier. And then I also have this guy in Brevia. This one's plastic. This one's stainless steel. Um, this one's a little bit bigger, but this one's just like a regular drink out of one. So both are fine. I kind of alternate between the two. While one's getting cleaned, I'll use the other one. Number 2 is extra clothes. So, you're going to have your clothes that you bring, if you're coming from work, you're going to have clothes that you bring to change into for that workout, but you should probably have some extra clothes in the bag as well. So whenever I go to the gym, I always bring 2 shirts. Um, sitting around, if it's really cold out and you get all sweaty, right? Now you're all wet and then it's cold. You want something fresh to put on. How often do you forget a pair of socks? So a lot of gym bags have that extra, pocket somewhere. Throw in some socks, throw in a pair of compression, throw in a t-shirt. So you have something just in case you didn't throw something in there. So you have your just in case pouch in case something happens. Super, super helpful. I can't tell you how many times I was like, shoot, I forgot, a shirt, or I forgot a pair of socks. I'm wearing dress socks or something. And now, oh yeah, I have an extra pair in my bag. I'm good to go. Like I'm still going to work out, but it just makes it a lot more comfortable, a lot um, more fun. Um, and comfortable to work out when you have those just in case. And then also, if you have a buddy that forgot something, you can help a buddy out. And we always want to, try and help each other. Bottle, extra clothes. Now we're going to get into like workouty stuff. So there's 3 actual workouty things. And the first one is a pair of shoes. we have in CrossFit, it's like, oh, you got to get all this stuff for CrossFit. But the one thing that I think is really essential when you're working out is having something that you can move in. Where if you're squatting, if you're picking up something relatively heavy, you want to have a firm foundation to pick that thing up with. And if it is not a good foundation, if the foundation's weak, everything else is going to be weak. We want to make sure that we have a solid shoe. And there's a reason that there are CrossFit shoes, and it's because they're so versatile. Is it the best running shoe? No. Is it the best lifting shoe? No. Is it the best anything, any one particular thing shoe? No. But that's also the point. That's the idea. We are not trying to be the best runner, the best lifter, the best gymnast. We want to be broad in all of those things. So we want a shoe that can do all of those things well, not great. So yeah, you might not have your pair of CrossFit shoes that are going to go run a 10K. I could run them in a 10K, but you might not feel comfortable doing that, and that's okay. You can still run 6 400s in a workout in your CrossFit shoes, and you'll be fine. I promise. It's not the end of the world. You can lift in a running shoe, but when I'm watching you coach, when I'm coaching you, I can just see your foot all over the place, right? This is just not a stable base. We want that solid foundation, and that's why it's so important. And the other thing is durability. Like CrossFit shoes are really durable. They can take a beating because they have to do so much stuff. Whereas, running shoes, it's a lot of foam and they're just going to get beat up, like really beat up. And then with weightlifting shoes or some kind of shoe like that, like they just tend to be really stiff and they don't have that, you can't move in them as well. So a nice shoe would be a good one. And, there's tons out there. Find the one that you like. Me personally, I like the Nanos and Born Primitive ones, and generally it's because they have the toe box is a little bit wider, generally speaking. So I like a wide toe box so that my feet aren't just all crunched up over top of each other. I want my toes to be able to spread out and grab the floor. The next one is a jump rope. We do jump rope for warming up. We do it for working out. And we have loaner jump ropes at the gym. Most gyms have some loaner jump ropes. The problem is you're going to have a different jump rope every time. And you should be capable of the jump rope with any rope. But in order to refine that skill, you need something that is repeatable. You need the same stimulus every time. You need the same circumstances every time. So you can build that skill and that technique to be able to use any rope. So having a rope that is just for you, to where you can really refine that skill and be repeatable, is going to help you so much. And then also, having your own stuff, it's just nice. Now you can practice at the house. You can take it with you when you travel, right? The jump rope is really small. It's really compact. You can take it anywhere. You don't need a lot of space. Super versatile, super helpful piece of equipment. So get a jump rope. Again, there's tons. Personally, I like the short handles. I'm not a big fan of the long handles. The longer the handle, the more movement there tends to be in that jump rope, and therefore your jump rope is going to be less efficient. So in the short term, yes, a long rope we find that a long rope is good for beginners because they can kind of feel that motion and they need that much room. But when you start getting proficient at jumping rope, you want that shorter handle so that the spin is smaller. So now you're being more efficient. You're not using as much entry, right? If we have this small spin versus this big spin, right, that small one is much more efficient. It's going to be much faster. So I prefer a short handle. Jump rope. Last one. This is probably the one. This is what I thought of first, but it's actually not everybody's going to necessarily need this. But I think for some movements, it's it's an absolute necessity for some movements. Like I have to have them for some, and that is wrist wraps. So we need something that can wrap around your wrist to support your wrist. It's kind of like a belt for your wrists. So if we're doing, overhead squats or thrusters or push press or something where we're doing a lot of work overhead, that can just be a lot of stress on the wrist overhead. And having some support on that wrist is really, really beneficial and helps a lot. If I'm doing any type of heavy load with overhead squats or a lot of volume with overhead squats, I want a wrist wrap. I borderline need it. I don't need it, but it's very, very beneficial. That's probably the one. It's interesting. This is the one that I thought of first, but it's probably the one that is the least quote unquote needed. Because you can just not use it, right? We can talk about like, oh, a belt's not on this list. Tape isn't on this list. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't on this list. These are the 5 that I think that you really, really need. Any kind of pressing is really going to help with some kind of support on that wrist. And then I think the real reason that it kind of really nailed on this is we've had so many people that have tight wrists from not using them. Like the number of people that actually use their wrists functionally, that put load on their wrist, is very low. So we have a lot of people that have discomfort in their wrists when they're doing movements that they've never done before. If we're doing a handstand hold to work on shoulder stability and grip and shoulder strength, wrist strength. If we're doing overhead work, if we're doing front squats, when we're using our wrist in different ways, people are not used to that, and this can just help ease that burden on the wrist. Now, should we be wearing them all the time, every time we just feel a little bit of discomfort on the wrist? Absolutely not. We need to lean into that discomfort and be comfortable with it for a little bit, and then eventually it'll stop hurting so much. But if we have some additional volume, it can definitely help. And when we can use the wrist wrap with some of that volume, we can do more work, and that's going to help us be healthier and fitter and do more work in less time. So it's going to help us increase our work capacity. But we don't want it to be a crutch. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next video, in like the nice to haves with the belt. We'll talk about how that is we don't want it to turn into a crutch. We don't want to need it. We want it to supplement and to enhance our workout, not absolutely need that thing. Same thing with pre-workout. We don't want to need it. All right, so that's my 5. What did I get wrong? I want to know, seriously, I want to know what is in your needs. Top 5 needs. I want to know what your top 5 needs are. Comment below. Tell me I'm an idiot because I put a freaking water bottle on here or extra clothes. Like, what? You don't need that. Let me know. Tell me how much of an idiot I am. And if you think this would be helpful for somebody, like if you're like, hey, I just have a buddy who's they're getting ready to start getting into the gym, they want to start getting into it, and they're not sure what to bring, or you have you have that new person that just joined class that you've been talking to a lot, like, hey, check this out, to kind of help them out, share it with them. When you like this, when you share it with other people, it helps us create a fitter and healthier community, and that's the whole reason that I do this. We want more healthy, happy people in the world. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to add a tool to your toolbox. I appreciate you. Cheers.